Everyone, first things first, welcome to my new desk setup. It's very snazzy, I know. And today we're going to be drawing with colored pencils. So I know I haven't done a video like this in a long time, if ever actually, but today I'm using my Faber-Castell Polychromos colored pencils and this Talens Art Creation A4 sketchbook. I have the 60 colored pencil tin. I've had this set for about 7 years. But first, let's hear a word from today's sponsors, Squarespace. So if you've never heard of Squarespace, they're an amazing platform where you can create your own website and or online store. Squarespace has amazing marketing tools and analytics. It's an all-in-one platform that will help you have the best experience with creating your online presence and run your business. I actually have my own website on Squarespace. I've had it for years now, and I find it really helpful to run my online store on it while simultaneously having my website on there. It's a really easy to use platform and design tools, which really helped me, someone who doesn't really know much about, website design, to actually create something good looking. So whether you're just getting started or are an already established brand, the Squarespace commerce platform, which is what I use on my online shop, supports the way you do your business. Sell your work directly or bill for design services if you prefer. I also have my portfolio and my animation gallery on my website. You can use Squarespace to present your work professionally. They have different portfolio designs that you can use and templates. So if this appeals to you in any way, head on over to Squarespace/Pipa to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. So let's get into it. I'm using this Talens Art Creation sketchbook just because I haven't really cracked into it yet, so I thought what better time to do it but now. And this is my tin of 60 pencils. There are some pencils missing, but that's just because I have them in pencil cases. And here is also the selection of all the pencils that I used in today's video. They're also my most used pencils just in general. So yeah, I've just put them here so you can see the references. And I'm taking out my initial supplies that I use for the sketch part of the drawing. So I normally use just a mechanical pencil to do the initial sketch of whatever I'm drawing. So today I had this idea to do a cute girl just eating some noodles. Shasha, my friend who's an illustrator, she did a drawing very similar of a girl eating some noodles, some ramen, a few years ago, and it's still one of my favorite drawings of hers. So I'll link Shasha's Instagram so you guys can go follow her. But yeah, I wanted to do my own drawing of a girl eating ramen, and it also has enough of a range of colors that I could show you guys how I draw with all of those different colors. So yeah, using a mechanical pencil, I just go in and I sketch out the rough anatomy and the rough sketch of the whole drawing. And once that is done, I take my kneaded eraser, which is from Faber-Castell as well, and I just kind of remove the excess graphite so it's very light and there's no excess pencil on the page. And then I'll go in with whatever color I want to do the line art with. For this one, I used a pink reddish color, a magenta. Also, side note, I really want to apologize for the shakiness of the first half of today's video. This is a new setup. I'm still trying to figure out my new setup with my camera and filming and everything, and I've realized, note to self, to not film with the camera connected to the same desk I'm drawing on, because my desk wobbles a little bit. So yeah, I do fix this halfway through the video, so just sorry. And so I went through with my magenta-ish color and basically did the line art for the drawing. And I like doing colored line art just because it adds a really cool look, a really cool vibe to the drawing. I don't know, I just think it looks really nice. And yeah, I use the red just to warm up the drawing. I like using warm tones for the line art, so that's why I do that. And again, I always keep my kneaded eraser at hand, because when I finish the line art layer, I go in with my kneaded eraser and just remove all the rest of the graphite. And then I always start off with shading the skin whenever I do any colored pencil drawings. And this is the first pencil that I go in and I do the base layer of the skin. That's why it's so tiny. It's because I always use it for the base. For honestly, most of the Caucasian skin colors that I do, I go in with this color first. I just change the opacity, I guess you would say, or like the pressure that I use on the pencil, and of course that changes the darkness and the saturation of the pencil. So when I go in with the base colors of anything, I always try to like leave out the pure white areas of like the light reflections, so that later I don't have to go in with like either paint or like a white Jelly Roll pen. So I try to get ahead of myself in that department and leave like the highlighted areas. But if you forget to do this, it's not the end of the world. You can always go back in at the end and add the highlights on top of the pencil. I just go in and with my the same pen, and then I start adding more and more pressure with each layer. The way that I use colored pencils is I actually layer them now. When I first started off drawing, I used to do very photocopier style drawing, where I would go like from the top of the drawing to the bottom of the drawing with like all the full details in the first pass, like a photocopier or like a printer. But now that I've like experimented with other mediums and I'm used to using other mediums, I kind of adopted the layering style with all of my materials and all my mediums. So now I enjoy doing the layered style with my pencils as well. So then I went in with a darker brown and started adding like the really dark shadows of her skin tone. And yeah, normally when I do darker skin tones, I obviously start with like a darker tone to begin with. So obviously you have to establish what color you're starting off with, so you can then go darker from then, if that makes any sense. So yeah, then I went in with this dark brown pencil, and I go around into the darkest areas of her skin area, adding like creases and like just the darkest of the darkest areas here with this dark brown pencil. And then I'll go in with the same red that I used for the line art, the pinkish red, and I'll add like all the color into her face. I really love blushing my characters. Like, it's one of my favorite things to do in the drawing process, is adding like all the blushies, and I always love adding blush to like the tips of their fingers and their knuckles and their elbows and all of their like joints. I just think it's really adorable, and it makes everyone look cold, and I don't know why I love that look, but I do. So yeah, I'll go in very lightly and then slowly increasing the pressure of the pencil. You always want to start off light. You never want to go in straight with like a super heavy hand, because you want to build it up just in case you make a mistake or something. So I'll go in lightly first and blend it out. The way that you blend with the pencils is you draw out, and then you start putting less and less pressure as you fade it out, if that makes any sense. God, I hope that made sense. So yeah, then I went in with this other red color, which is like a darker color of shade of red that has like more brownish tones. So it's like a nice medium between the red we used just now and the skin tone color. And I'll add that in some other areas that I want to blush up, but not very noticeably. And then the way that I darken like the blushed areas and the reddish areas is I use like a dark purple. So I'm using this dark purple here to actually add in all of the shadows, like in her lips and stuff like that. It's my favorite way to shade, is to use like a different hue. So it adds like different, multitudes, I guess. Then I went in and just colored in the noodles, the ramen that she's eating, using that yellow that I showed earlier. And then, of course, added the base layers for the bowl that she's holding. I decided to go in with like just a neutral gray and then a green stripe along the bowl. I just thought that would look cute, give it a little pop of color. And also, I love using the same pencils for different parts of the drawing. I love to like match colors. So like the green on the bowl is going to match the green in her eyes. So I'm going to make her eyes green. And I think it's a really nice way to tie colors in together in an illustration, is to use the same color for more than one element, so it doesn't look random, and I think it just makes it look a little bit more tied together, if that makes sense. So then I went in with the same red that we used for the line art again and colored in her sweater. And then I'm using this very dark blue to actually add in her nail polish, but I'm also going to use the same color to like highlight the edges of her arms and the liner around her arms. It's like I'm using this instead of black for the absolute black areas in the shadows of the drawing, just because I really enjoy using, again, different colors instead of just like a pure black or like a white. I like using different shades. It just makes it a little bit more interesting. So then I went around her white t-shirt and added a little outline with this dark blue, and I think it gives a nice, like, you know, balance with the red line art that we did initially. Yeah, I added pretty much all of the details on her white t-shirt with this really dark blue pencil. And then for the hair, I went in with the same dark brown pencil that we used to darken the skin tone. And I basically, again, like I did with the skin tone, I like to leave in the whites and the light reflections on the hair, because normally especially if I'm doing dark hair, it's a lot harder to go back in and add the highlights on top of a really dark pencil. So I like to, again, stay ahead of myself and actually leave the whites of the paper for, you know, where I know that there will be highlights in their hair. And the way that I like see where the highlights would be is wherever there's like a curl in her hair, the part that's, you know, curling outwards would have a light reflection on it. So that's how I normally plan it out. If it is easier for you, you can always go in first very lightly with the pencil and mark where you want the highlights to be, and then just, yeah, so you have like a guideline for yourself, if that makes sense. Yeah, I do that sometimes as well. So yeah, once I've done the base color of her hair, I'll go in and start like adding some tinier details with the dark brown, and just, you know, start adding dark shadows here and there. I like to use the same pencils here and there just to tie the whole drawing together. And then I finally went in with the black pencil, which again, as you can see, is so ridiculously small. I know I need to get another one, but yeah, I use this one for the details in her eyes, so like her eyeliner and her eyelashes. I always use like the blackest of blacks for that one. And then, as I said, I was going to make her eyes a nice green to match the bowl, so I went in with a really nice, like, you know, like mossy green for her eyes. And yeah, kept adding details with going back and forth from the brown pencil and the black pencil, just to make her face look more rendered and finished. And then, of course, I'll go in with the brown and add finishing touches and finishing shadows on her face, just to kind of make her look a little bit more 3D. I also like at the end to go back in with the first color that we used for her skin tone, the light brown color, and actually go through all of the drawing that we did, just to kind of blend everything together. I do it quite lightly, but it's a really nice way to blend all of the different colors and all the different layers together by using the original color from the bottom. So yeah, that's like a little pro tip, is I always go back in with the first color to blend everything in. So then finally I just basically go in with all of the pencils that we've used so far, and I just kind of keep adding details to it. I used the purple pencil again to shade in the reds on her shirt, and I used the black pencil to add in the rest of the shadows in her hair. And yeah, then I signed the drawing, and at the end, of course, I have to always go in with a white Jelly Roll pen and add like the highlights of the highlights in the drawing. And this normally is, it's in the eyes that I always have to put in a little glisten in. It just makes it look super finished, super like, you know, completed. So I go in and I add a little bit of a light reflection in her eyes and in her hair in bits where I missed it, you know. And then I felt like it was missing a bit of color over there at the top of the drawing. It was looking a little bit bottom heavy, so I decided to go in and add like a little blue halo around her using like a nice blue pencil just to, you know, add a little bit of color over there at the top. Kind of just felt like it wasn't exactly balanced properly yet, so I feel like this really tied it together. Again, all the pencils that I used I showed at the beginning of the video, so if you want to, you know, get any specific pencils, because you can buy these pencils like separately, you don't have to buy like a full tin, so you can buy these by the number. And yeah, that was it, guys. This was my drawing for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye!